Hi, everybody. Welcome along to episode 95 of Percussion Discussion. Check out our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, our world famous YouTube channel, where you can find all of our conversations, past and present. Please subscribe. It only takes a second. This way you won't miss any of the upcoming editions that we have. If you prefer to listen on the go, then that's no problem. All of our conversations are available in podcast form, and these are free to download from your favorite podcast provider. So if that's your thing, you know what to do. Please leave us a short review, even if it's only a couple of words. All helps get the word out there. So really appreciate that. Thank you very much. On to today's guest, an amazing German drummer who's been with his band, the Intersphere, for quite some time. An incredible band, a real blend of pop, rock, slightly progressive. Some amazing drummers on drumming on there, I should say. But as well as that, he's played for so many incredible artists, including Midge Ure and Steve Lukather and Bobby Kimball, of course, from Toto. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome the fabulous Moritz Mueller. Moritz, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation. Really nice.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I know you've been busy, you've been touring and what have you. So it's thanks for finding the time.
No, thank you for asking me to do this. Really cool.
No, it's a pleasure. So how's things going? Obviously, we're not over COVID yet. It's still a thing, but hopefully it's kind of a little bit more in the background. Are you find sort of things are getting back to some kind of normality again?
Yes. I'm in the lucky position that I have a few bands that I work with, or a few musicians that I work with, that are doing a lot of TV stuff, and so we are kind of the lucky guys of the COVID situation, because everything that happens on TV will take place, no matter if there's COVID or stuff. Of course, we have to do the testing and which is kind of a pain in the, what, but no, I got away really good with it, and it's pretty safe for my situation, but it wasn't all the time. The beginning of COVID was really bad. Nobody of my colleagues had work to do, and I mean, I'm one of many who was suffering from this situation, and I think there have been cases that have been much worse than my case. So I'm quite good with the situation. I hope that all that live business will take place in September, October, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah. So obviously you're based in Germany, and is gigs and what have you happening pretty much freely again now? Things happening?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Oh, bless you. Yes. Actually, everything is pretty normal.
Good.
Only when you're driving train in Germany, you have to wear the mask. But yeah. Let's see where this gets, or where the journey leads us now. But for now, it looks pretty good.
Good.
We have so many concerts in Germany going on. Everybody's playing. Every big name is out there. The Stones, like everybody is playing right now, and so I think there are not enough people at the shows, because it's almost in any town, in every town there's a concert happening every night, and so we're missing a few people to sell out the shows. But I think that's at least we can play right now, and
so there's kind of too many things happening at once. Almost, there's not enough people to go around to. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But at least things are happening, and we're getting back to some kind of normality again. And because we were starved of music, and it's nice to have it. I mean, I've been to loads of gigs, and they've always been really well attended, and
yeah,
it's all good. Anyway, look, let's go back to your kind of beginnings. What were your first memories of music, would you say? I mean, forget drums for now. What's the first memories of music itself?
Well, my father had a huge influence on me and my two sisters, and I have also one brother, but he's not a musician. I have two sisters. They both are piano players, fabulous, really, really good, and they're really busy right now as well. And my father always was listening to music, and I remember me sitting in the back of the car with my with my two sisters and one brother, and like this, and listening to Beatles, Stones, Santana, Doors, and like all that stuff that my father played with his cover band that actually still exists. So we were huge fans of our father, and I'm still a huge fan because he showed us how cool music is, how what a nice tool it is to express yourself. So I've grown up far away from written sheet music, but I was listening to music and tried to play it on the instrument, and I always had the the joy of playing music. I always had it, and I still have it. I love music, and I think that's got something to do with our father and with our household, with like 2 pianos, 1 drum kit, guitars, and everyone was playing something, and I remember that. So it was a very positive vibe from the beginning.
And we would have been talking because I think 85 you were born. You're
right.
a young guy. Yeah, you are. But so we'd have been talking. Your memories there of traveling in the car with sisters and brothers. We'd have been talking maybe late 80s, and still. Your father's playing music from like 60s and 70s, which is pretty cool. There's not a lot of current stuff happening there.
Right. Yeah, but I still listen to that Steely Dan and like Clapton and stuff. It never got old for me. It's still around.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's a good thing. And now, obviously, you've got. I often wonder about this. When you've got a house full of instruments, including drums, does it make you want it more or less? Because a lot of drummers I speak to, they had to beg for the drum kit. They had to plead, please, I want a drum kit. But when it's there in front of you, you can go on it whenever you want. Is that? I don't know. Is that better or worse? I don't know. I've often wondered about this.
I've never gotten in an argument with my sisters or brother. Who is the drummer in the family? That was never a topic in our household. I was the only guy who stayed with the drum kit because it was there. Of course, my brother also was trying to hit get some grooves out, or my sisters, but I was the only guy who stayed with the drum kit. All the other ones are stayed with the piano, so they got pretty good at the piano. And when I was playing piano, I was hitting like this. So my parents said, "So I think this guy's going to be a drummer." And it was just, I think it was pretty easy for me to stay with the drum kit because I was always hiding behind the drum kit when my father was rehearsing with his band in our basement. And so I remember the first grooves I tried to imitate was 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Completely
That's not easy
wrong.
to start with. Wow.
No, but instead of it was that one. But yeah, I was kind of obsessed with rhythms, and also I got in these. I got in this passion for complicated stuff as well. Like that came later, but like 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover was a big thing for me. My father always told me that Steve Gadd on drums, he's an American drummer, he's amazing, and everybody loves him. And I didn't know Steve Gadd back then, of course. Yeah, but it was easy for me to stay with the drum kit, and sometimes we would jam. I would jam with my father or with my sisters, and also I had a band, a cover band, where my older sister, she played bass, and she was like, I think 12, and I was 9 or so, and we had a band together and tried to play the songs of my father's band, and funny. Cool. Just came to my mind.
So you've had, it sounds like a fun household, yours. You know, it's
absolutely
going on. Incredible.
Yeah, actually, my father, he used to play church organ just for fun. He's not very Catholic or so, but he was asking us always which song we want to hear in the church, and I think it was my older sister. She said "Highway to Hell," and so he was playing that. So we were kind of a fun household, and we didn't take us too serious, and still don't take us too serious. And I think that's a good thing in music in general, because it's only music. And
exactly.
Yeah,
I still can't imagine Highway to Hell in a church, but hey.
Oh, you have to come to my place.
So, I mean, you initially, I guess you were self-taught then.
Kind of. So the theoretical side, does that word exist?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah,
that came later. Because I grew up on the countryside, in the middle of nowhere. There's not a big city anywhere near, and so that was also a good thing, because I couldn't go anywhere. I was hiding in my basement with the drums set up, and I was free, and so I was only missing a good drum teacher, and it was like a coincidence. I met a guy from I don't know, from Arizona. Mm-hmm. He was working for the army in Germany, and he was studying drums in Arizona when he grew up. And so he had a lot of skills, and I met him accidentally at like a little festival around the corner from where I grew up. So this was a big coincidence. His name is Jim Evans.
Okay.
And he showed me all that stuff, like Moeller technique. And this is before the internet was on. So yeah. I'm one of the old generation. I didn't grow up with the internet as well. So the internet came later. And he was showing me books like Gary Chaffee and that stuff. And that was mind-blowing for me. For me as a guy who just was playing I was just a feeling player back then, and to see things like groupings or odd meters or that kind of stuff, polyrhythms, paradiddles. I knew what a paradiddle is, but I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So Jim would come to our house every once in a while and would show me things like Moeller technique and finger technique and different sound concepts, and also I was telling what I was listening to, and we he took me out to concerts because he had a car, and so we were driving direction Frankfurt, Germany, where all the big concerts were happening. So I got to see Dave Weckl and these guys, and then I was driving home with Jim, and we were talking only about drums, and that got me into that whole complicated polyrhythmic style, and I think that's also that stayed somehow. That's still a big part of my language. I try to not overdo it with complicated stuff. I'm still like a feeling guy on the drums. I still try to forget about 16th notes and triplets and quintuplets. I try to forget that, and I try to stay focused on the music. But I think it's not an opposite to use these parts or these tools to make music, but also create some kind of a feeling. So and you don't need to be a musician to understand that. I want everybody to understand what I'm doing, even though he or she might not be a drummer.
No, I think that's evident in your playing. Obviously, we'll get on to talking about the Intersphere, because there's some amazing stuff that you've done over the years. And but you, prior to that, I mean, well, not prior to it, but I read that you did a clinic tour with Dennis Chambers.
Yeah.
Now that must have been, was Dennis like a hero to you growing up, or did you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a funny story. I like when you finish school, like when you graduate from school, you do like a holiday together.
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't know how to name it in English, but that's what we do here in Germany. Like we go all together in a holiday, and go skiing. And I was begging my parents to skip that just to see Dennis Chambers. So I skipped the whole skiing week with my schoolmates, just to see Dennis Chambers with Andy Summers and Daryl Jones.
Wow! And
I also got a picture from the day with Dennis Chambers. I was like this high and happy as hell. Really, that was a good memory. And I have always been a Dennis Chambers fan. I think he's still one of the best drummers, and not only his technique, of course. What I like the most about Dennis is just his pocket and his timing and his sound and his musicality, and of course he can really bang the drums really hard if it's necessary. And no, he was such a cool guy. I had so much respect. I didn't know, do we drive together in one bus, or how is the tour gonna happen? And this came over the Pearl connection. I was kind of the opening act for Dennis Chambers, and we drove like 2 weeks together in one bus, and it was just nice to ask him anything, and he would take his time to answer anything back. And did you use a click track when you played with Steely Dan? And these questions, like really nerdy stuff. And he was very patient and such a cool guy. I didn't know, there's a saying that says never meet your heroes, but he was really cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm very lucky doing this. I've met pretty much all of them, and everyone has been incredibly nice so far.
Cool.
so far. Hopefully, it
Cool.
won't.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, if you'd have told your 16-year-old self, or whenever 15-year-old self, that you'd have been on tour with Dennis Chambers,
Oh.
what would you'd have gone like, no.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Equally endorsed by one of the biggest drum companies in the world.
Yeah. Still a big fan, and they are doing great drums as well. And yeah,
really
cool.
And the thing is with Pearl, they've never produced a bad range. I did a festival a couple of weeks ago, and the house, the backline kit was an old Pearl export, and it still sounded great. It was beaten up and battered, and it sounded amazing. It really did.
It's still, yeah, right. It's still, even the cheapest ones, they sound really, really good.
Yeah.
So and they started all that low price but good quality, and they started that thing in the drumming industry, so that if you don't have much money, you can afford a good drum kit as well. And I think that's very legendary.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't say a bad thing about them. So anyway, look, there's a list of names that you've been associated with, and it's quite hard to find exactly, obviously, because there's so many gigs and there's so many recordings. I've got Midge Ure written down in front of me. Have you done some stuff with Midge?
Yes, I've met him a few times, actually. One time we were playing with a German artist called Sabian. He was organizing like big event about Schiller, and so he invited a few special guests, one from Turkey and one from Greece, and Midge Ure. And so I was playing with Midge when I was 19.
Wow.
We were playing Vienna and Dear God. And when I got the recordings to write out my parts, I immediately heard, okay, this is Simon Phillips on drums. I wasn't aware of that, but Simon has a very unique sound, always had. And then just before the lockdown, I think there was a music fair in Leipzig, Germany, and they hired Midge Ure. Mm-hmm. And so Midge came, and I told him the story that we played together like 15 years ago, and he couldn't remember, but he's such a nice guy, and you can have a really good chat with him, and he played with so many great musicians and made so many great records with different bands. And one highlight was I was in the in the band for the evening. So I was playing drums, and we did one double drum thing with Gary Wallace on drums as well.
Okay, yeah. That
was really kicking. I forgot the name of the song, but we were playing like a 1 hour show or so, like 8 songs, or yeah, it's cool. And we were having we were playing 3 days in a row, and what a nice guy. Well, really cool.
Another name I've got written down now. This guy is used to having, well, Simon Phillips for one behind him, Jeff Porcaro being another one, and that's Bobby Kimball, an amazing, I think, is an incredible singer. Obviously, of Toto. I think he's had 2 spells with Toto. What did you do with Bobby? I'm fascinated to hear this one.
I got a call from a friend called Willy Wagner, who's a German bass player, and he had to put together a band for Bobby, who was on tour in Germany. So yeah, that's basically the story. Of course, for me, it was it was legendary to play with this big name. And of course, we all know the legendary recordings of Toto, and as well working with Steve Lukather was another big deal for me, because he told many stories about the time with Jeff, and we were on tour together with the Rock Meets Classic Orchestra. That happens once in a year if there's no COVID. It's a tour through Germany with an orchestra and a rock band, and like 5 star guests. And I think it was in 2018 we had Steve Lukather, and we were like the early birds, and we always met for breakfast, like at 7-8 o'clock in the morning. And he told me all the stories I wanted to hear, you know, how Jeff was, and what a cool guy he seemed to be, and of course what a fabulous drummer he was. And yeah, legendary, amazing.
Wow. So were you playing, I assume, with Bobby and with Steve Lukather? I guess you were playing some Toto songs as well.
Of course, yeah. That we were playing only Toto songs. I think we played some cover songs with Bobby.
Yeah.
I think we played House of the Rising Sun and some of his favorite songs. Yeah, really cool.
I assume you didn't have to play Party in Simon's Pants, did you? From
no.
That's a bit of an ask.
Yeah. But of course we know it all. Yeah.
Well, I know it to hear it, but not to play it. That's for sure. But I remember it well. You know, you're a young guy and you've already done all this. You know, and we've missed out your own band, the Intersphere, who. It's incredible music. It's very catchy as well. You know, I mean, it's difficult to pin it into a genre, isn't it? It's heavy, but with melody and a few odd times and some. You kind of have quite a unique thumbprint as a drummer, I find, which is a great thing. You know, you can kind of you can recognize you're playing, which is a good thing. Well, I think it's a good. That's a good thing for me, anyway. But how would you? Can you describe the Intersphere's music for those watching or listening that maybe haven't heard of you for whatever reason?
Yeah. Well, I think for me it's very, very difficult to describe it, because I'm playing with the guys since 2003, like the end of 2003, and that's almost 20 years ago. Yeah, sure. And so it's kind of what we do. It's just normal for me. When I sit behind the drums, I play like I play, and I think that's got something to do with how I grew up, how I practiced, how fascinated I am with music. Like we all are in the band. We all like music, and I think the style is very unique because we like different kinds of genres in the band. When we go on tour and we are in the tour bus, you know, we would listen some Mute Math or Sepultura or Foo Fighters or some jazzy stuff as well. So we are very open. We are very open when it comes to music. And also the good thing about this band for me is I always could be myself in the band, you know.
Yeah.
When you're out with other people, like with other artists, you just do the job like they want it. And this band leaves a lot of room for drumming. So my bandmates are always fascinated with rhythms and different grooves, and they tell me, you know, there's a gap. Maybe you find something interesting to fill it, or you can play something crazy in between there. So there, sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes I think, oh, can we make it simple at this part? And they say, no, just do your stuff, do your thing. And that's kind of helpful. And I think that's very unique, that constellation, that the guitar players or the bassist, they push me to also do different stuff that is away from normal. And that is, of course, a big part of the band sound. For example, the tunings of the guitars are very unique as well. And I think together with this weird drumming, or sometimes it's really not weird, it's not complicated, but it's not, it's a little bit away from normal, like cliche drumming, or I think the mixture out of these things, and of course the harmonies and the like Christoph, our singer, like he sings, he's not a shouter, he's not a screamer.
Oh no.
Well, he can
voice.
he can scream. Yeah, he's got a really nice voice, and he's one of my favorite singers. He's got a very strong voice. When I met him in the beginning of the university we studied at, his voice reminded me a little bit of Sting or Peter Gabriel a little bit.
Peter Gabriel, in it, yeah, sure.
Yeah, a little bit. But I wasn't the only one back then. But nowadays he sounds like Christoph for me. There's nobody else who I can compare it to. Yeah.
Oh, you know, you mentioned earlier about influences and what you listen to on the bus, and you mentioned Sepultura, and there's a couple of little moments where I thought, oh, I hear a bit of Igor Cavalera in there, and it's just like little kind of, and it's and then it's gone into something else, and I really like it's for a drummer, it's a great band to listen to, isn't it? Because you know, it's not four on the floor. It's, you know, you can't just. You know, it's not the White Stripes. That's
yes,
but fun stuff. I mean, from SOBP, which was that your first? Was that your first album?
Yes, we used to be the Hesslers. That was our name before, and that we didn't want to be called the Hesslers because nobody got the name right, and the Hesslers was we were called the Hesslers because our singer is called Christoph Hessler. Okay. And when we played our first concerts, we didn't have a name yet, and so everybody said, "Oh, you know, the Hesslers are playing tonight," because nobody had a name for us. They called us the Hesslers, and we had that name for like six or 7 years, and then we said, okay, we have to change that. And with the second album, we changed our name. Like the first album with a new name was called Intersphere's Atmospheres. Yeah. And also with that album, we played big festivals like Rock am Ring, Rock im Park, which is, I don't know if you know these festivals, but they are huge here in Germany. Yeah. But it was also a funny story because we were playing as the first act of the day, and Iron Maiden, they were playing as the main act, and we got to see all these bands from the stage. It was really amazing. But our van was so small. We were driving backwards to the stage just to unload the equipment that we had, and we were standing next to the Iron Maiden truck. Sorry, it was not Iron Maiden. Stupid, Slayer. It was Slayer.
Okay.
But our bus was as high as the stage, and it was a pain in the ass to get the equipment on stage. And the guys, the crew from Slayer, they were looking at us, and you know, they were all professional with the big trucks, like
they just wheeled it straight onto the stage.
Yeah. But I think some of them were really did just carry some gear of us. It was really cool. And it, of course, it was amazing to see Dave Lombardo on stage.
Oh, yeah.
What a power guy he is. It was amazing.
Obviously playing with Testament at the moment.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Interesting. But what a drummer, what a band. I've been lucky enough to see Slayer a few times over the years.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not a metal guy or a hard rock guy. I just like to see drummers who hit hard. You know, I'm even though I'm a drummer, I'm very obsessed with nice harmonies, and I also sometimes I compose a little bit and try to. I don't know anything about piano, but sometimes I go like, oh, this sounds nice, and then I press record and stuff. So I'm not too much of a heavy metal guy, but of course, it's amazing to see bands like these, and especially the drummers. I mean, that's Dave Lombardo is like pure hate, and you can feel it. You can feel the vibe. It's just so natural.
Well, I haven't had Dave on yet, but I've had Charlie Benante from Anthrax on. So he was
right.
Another hard hitter and a great drummer. So I was lucky enough to have Charlie on. So, but I mean, you know, you say you're not a metal guy, but there are definitely elements of metal in your music, aren't there? You know, maybe that's come from the other guys, but what kind of people do you attract to concerts then? Because there must be some metal guys there and metal girls, because you know there is that element of it.
So the question was, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, what kind of people is it? Is it a lot of metal heads you get at your gigs, or musos, or who comes to see you?
Actually, it's so different. First of all, the age is from 18 to 65, I would say. A lot of musicians are coming to our shows, and of course, some rock fans, some hard rock fans, some metal fans, but also many hipsters, and it's a very colorful mix, and I think the mix is exactly like our music is. Like we have the heavy parts, we have low parts, we have parts where you can dance, but mostly men, I would say. I'm always concentrating on my drumming, so I don't get to see a lot of the people later at the merchandising stand. But yeah, it's a colorful mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if it's been called this before, it's kind of verging on progressive at times. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have these guys too, like fans from. I'm not very much into like the real deep shit, progressive stuff like transatlantic, or but people who like that kind of music, they would show up at our show. Sure. Many people wear band shirts. That's what I recognize always. Like what's like Foo Fighters, or sure. Yeah,
no, that's cool. I mean, you've got. It sounds like you've hit it just right. You know, as you say, the music it varies wildly, which is brilliant. It's great for you guys on stage as well. You get to play all kinds of styles, and I think it's just, you know, and that reflects on the people coming to see you as well. And I think it makes everybody happy then at that point, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do a lot of, well, there's a lot of footage of you doing various. You seem to be quite heavily into the education side as well, as in masterclass clinics, that kind of thing. Is that something you enjoy doing?
Actually, I'm not too much in that scene anymore. I always was struggling with, you know, making surfing for both sides, like being a band drummer or like a sub drummer for other bands, for other drummers, or a studio drummer, and teaching was always difficult for me. I used to play also at the PASIC in San Antonio in Texas, and I also was playing at Montreal Drum Festival. This was also really cool, but it's a different thing from what I normally do. So I'm missing the time to concentrate. Like you have to stay in contact with the organizers of drum festivals, like with the sponsors, and I never put too much energy in that. I enjoyed doing that, meeting all the drummers. The last big drum festival I did was somewhere in Spain. I forgot where it was, with a very fantastic lineup with Ash Stone and one of my favorite drummers right now, Nate Wood.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing to see that. That's what you don't get to see when you're just on tour with a band. And I, from time to time, I get asked from Sabian or Pearl to do clinics, but most of the time I have to cancel it because I'm on tour, and it's such a shame. Maybe that will change for the future. I don't know. I hope so I hope to get to do more of these events. Also, I was teaching. I was teaching at a drum camp last week, but that was that doesn't happen very, very often.
Sure. Do you enjoy the pressure of having to perform in front of just drummers? Do you find it's a different kind of pressure to working with a band on, in a festival?
Well, I'm more used to play in front of normal people, but I also like, of course, there's a different kind of pressure, but it's still healthy. I'm not sweating too much. I just enjoy it, Yeah. But of course, you're a bit more under the microscope when you play in front of drummers. But I think drummers are very forgiving. I think we are different from guitar players, and so that helps a lot. When you get to a drum festival, it's already a really cool vibe, and I try to have fun and forget about drummers who analyze my playing, and
Well, I have to say, it sounds like all is good at the moment. All is going where you want it to go. You've got some endorsements from some of the biggest equipment providers on the planet. You're in a great band. What more can you ask for? You can't really, can you?
Yeah. No, I'm really happy with the way it works, and now I'm really happy that I can do my job, because like 1.5 years ago, I was thinking about making pizza, selling pizza, and I had to question my playing drums. Is that the right thing for the future? Will we have concerts in the future? So that was the first time in 20 years where I had to think about my job. Is it the right decision? So now I'm really happy, and I really enjoy to be able to play drums, and can pay my rent from playing gigs. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad about that as well. Look, Moritz, thank you very much for giving up your time. I really, really appreciate it. And
thank you so much.
My pleasure. Let's hope we see you over in the UK. And before we go, I have to thank our mutual friend, Steve Barney. Wonderful
Steve.
British drummer who's out on tour at the moment. So thank you for connecting us up, Steve. Again, he's helped me out so many times. So it was very kind of him. So I'm glad he did.
Yeah, really cool. I love this podcast. I've seen a few episodes.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And it's really cool. We need people like you that keep the drum community together. And yeah,
I appreciate
check out all the videos, amazing drummers that you had on the show. And yeah, thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Moritz. I will see you soon. Take care, my mate. Bye-bye.
Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.